introduce my guest this hour. With me, of course, I have Grace Kariuki, who's a marriage and family therapist. Always good to have you here on the show.
Thank you, Joyce.
You can see that people are doing well, eh?
Yes, they are.
It's a challenge to us, man.
It is. 100 shillings every month.
Every day.
Oh, every day.
It adds up to like 30K.
You know, and that is what? That is Java.
Yeah,
you
forgo
your
coffee,
your morning coffee.
Yeah, you can
just make it at home.
Make it at home
and carry it.
Yeah, saves you a whole lot.
na ile lunch ya kibanda, you carry your own lunch.
Wow, I'm challenged, guys. I'm really challenged. Well done.
Yeah, that's a good challenge.
All right. Well, we want to talk about couples working together. Of course, this is Relationship Tuesday, and I invite you, as always, to send in your feedback. 22999 is the SMS line. You can also reach me on social media at SwitchTVKE on Instagram, at SwitchTV Kenya on Facebook and Twitter, and at Joyce Omondi across all platforms. Now, sometimes you find these couples that, you know, have set up a business together or have taken over something and they end up working together. There's also the ones who start off as romances, and we're going to touch on those ones a bit later. But for now, for those who are in a relationship first, but then are also now having to work together, or you've decided to build a business together, is it possible to make it through? Is the big question today.
I think, I really do think that anything is possible if you have the skills to manage it. The word is managing. I think what we see a lot is, first of all, why are you in business together? So if there is a feeling of mistrust, that I don't want my spouse to work with the opposite sex without them, and you know in your heart that's why you are in this business with your spouse, then you know it's not going to go well. So it's important to kind of even ask if you are feeling uncomfortable working with your spouse, or you're feeling anxious about working away from them. Then you need to ask yourself, what is really going on? What is the fear I have? Most couples who work together, I was actually looking over that, and I came across a note that Bill Gates and his wife, they met in the office. They were working colleagues, and they have been married for years. They have built up all this big business.
Right, they travel the world together.
Yes, and I know others. You know, I know others. My own mentor, I have seen them. They build a business together. But it really, I think it goes to your own personal maturity, especially emotional maturity.
Right, and there's something you've touched on too. You know, even the question in your mind of why you're so uncomfortable.
Right.
It's like, first of all, then there's something wrong with your relationship. There's something you haven't addressed there.
Yes, there is a foundational issue that has to do with how comfortable you are with your spouse, either working away from you or with you.
Right.
So whatever, if there is a quote unquote neurosis behind it, then you need to get that checked and make sure you're okay. So when couples are working together, there are a few things that they need to do.
Okay.
Number one, when you are, because it will be either there is the CEO and the managing director or whatever the titles are. So who's the boss? You need to be able to define those roles in the office. And then when you are in the office together, oh my goodness, there are so many things. If your relationship is not okay, so you know that that you will fight in front of your employees. Please don't do that. And also, if you have, for instance, we might have a woman who is an MBA and her husband is the CEO of the company, but she has more education, more skills and all that. And the husband is feeling a little bit, he appreciates what she brings to the office, but then he still
also feels a little threatened.
Yeah, a little threatened. That will come out.
Okay.
It will come out in their interactions with her in the office. If she comes in, men don't like to be challenged. And so when she comes in and she says something, then he may come home and say, I didn't appreciate you talking to me like that in front of, but that's a professional.
Yeah.
So if we are equals in our professional setting, then, then you have just put a boundary that has nothing to do with that.
Speaking of boundaries, my caller this morning, Milka from Kitengela, said, I asked her this question, is it possible for couples to work together? And she said, it is, provided they create boundaries. So maybe you can begin walking us through, and we've already touched on some of them, right? Like, don't air your personal linen in the office,
yeah.
right? So you kind of have to have a distinction. Like when we're
Right.
at home,
Yes.
we talk about home things. When we're in the office,
Yes.
we're going to focus in on office things.
Right.
And we don't need to show, our staff
Yes.
what's going wrong.
Right.
The other thing, though, is, should there be a boundary as far as how you relate with one another in the office? So assuming there are no challenges, you guys are great, everybody's doing their part, no one's threatened. Should there be a boundary with how you address each other, how you behave in front of your staff towards each other? Or, are we like, we are married and we love each other and this is just the way we are?
Yeah, PDA. Maybe that's what we are
Yes.
talking. That's part of it. Is a public display of
Affection.
affection will make some people uncomfortable. So don't do that in the office. It's not really, if you're if you're used to whenever you're in your office, I'm in my office, and then just like at home when we meet,
Yes.
we usually blow each other kisses
Yeah.
or whatever, we hug or whatever. In the office, keep that at bay. Let it be professional.
Yeah.
Stay in the office as two professional people, because that will create a more comfortable environment for even your employees.
Right.
And so you want to also ask yourselves, whatever it is that I'm doing, and this is about relational intelligence in the workplace.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that I'm doing, people are watching us. We are a team. Am I helping the cohesion of the team, or am I actually affecting it in a negative way?
I have to admit, my mind has totally wandered too.
Yes.
This pastor lady of yesterday, coffee is your Mali.
Oh, Joyce.
I was just thinking, because you're saying like you're in the office, but the office.
Yeah, no.
We don't want to know. We don't want to see it. We don't want to hear it.
Oh, please. Yes, it really does. And it's about comfortability.
Yeah.
And let your employees not have to
crawl
kind of,
around you guys.
Every time they see you guys walking into the reception, they are going like, oh,
Yo,
what
amesema gari na jikoni kwenu. Watia huko. Msiweke kwa ofisi.
hatutaki tuwatoa kwa ofisi.
Hatutaki tuwatoa kwa ofisi. Oh man, I love this show.
Right.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Okay, so create those boundaries. Try and stick to them. Then
Yes.
have a distinction between workplace and home place.
Yes.
And it could even boil down, I guess, to the names that you call each other. Right.
Exactly.
That's also very important, actually.
Oh my goodness.
Because in many ways, you could actually diminish your business
Yes.
or each other in front of potential
Yes.
clients if you're all like, babes, honey, like,
And
how
people-
should you address each other
and
now in the office?
People might actually feel like there is favoritism in the office, and that's one of the things that you want to make sure is not there. That people
Right.
are feeling that everything is being done merit-wise.
Right.
That everybody is being treated with respect.
Right.
Now
So address them as Mr. whoever and
yes,
keep it
I
professional.
want to like my husband and I used to have a farm business.
Okay.
In Nyeri. And at home, we know what we call ourselves. But when we are out there, he would call me in Kenya, Mama Givenji, and I would call him the same thing. So we, among the people that were working with us, we didn't do that
Right.
PDA.
Right.
We didn't do that. Doesn't diminish our relationship by any chance.
Absolutely.
And so we want to be very careful with that. The other thing I think is important is also to respect our various giftings and talents. So that now, if I am the operations manager and my husband is the CEO, if he instructs me to do something during the day, he shouldn't be pushing me and saying, I want you to do it right now. He should be able to deal with me as a professional and be
Right.
able to say, I need you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and make sure that it's done, and leave it there. Trust that your spouse is going to do what you ask them to do. And if there is a problem with staying on top of tasks, and it's your spouse, then you deal with them as on a professional level.
Yeah.
Don't do the whole thing of mixing
Sure.
issues.
Don't
Yeah.
do it. All right, guys, we're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we're going to look at the other side of this. For those of you who are in an office space, you're not, necessarily connected to anybody there, but now you're finding yourself starting relationships with the people that you work with. That has found so many people in trouble, but we're going to be addressing it here on Full Circle with Joyce after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show, guys. This is Full Circle with Joyce, and I do appreciate you guys being a part of the show and engaging with us this morning. We're going to get back to our discussion here on couples working together. Just before the break, we were talking about it from, spouses setting up businesses together, setting up institutions and whatnot together, and whether that's possible. And we've learned a lot of things about even the need for boundaries within that. Okay. But before I jump back into that discussion, given we have Madam Grace here with us, there's a very interesting comment that I'm going to read. And this will be the only one off topic that I will read today, guys. So please don't send any others like this. But good morning, Joyce. Rachel from Riru. Well, I'm working and learned to be responsible living alone for 4 years. I got into a marriage to a guy I barely knew for a week. Now I realize I have made a mistake 2 months into this marriage, and the guy moved into my house. I pay rent, do the shopping, and he doesn't save his money. Actually, I've never heard him plan of the future or what his goal is. I'm very unsatisfied and feel I was better off alone. I am now pregnant, and he doesn't seem to plan for it with all the costs that it has. He doesn't make me a better person. I feel like moving out before it's too late. And in many ways, I feel like it's... Anyway, you're the therapist.
Well, see, this is the thing. They've known each other for 3 months.
A week.
Yeah,
she knew him for less than a week.
They've
been married now for
2 years,
just about 2 months.
Yeah, so they've known each other for
total of 3 months.
So relationship-wise, she could walk away from a potentially satisfying relationship because they don't have time. I mean, she doesn't have enough time to decide this is a mistake.
Okay.
What she needs to do if she wants to work on the marriage first, she needs to approach a counselor. And she needs to talk to him. She needs to say, because they have heard about financial, so they don't have any plans.
He doesn't have plans. She's like doing everything.
Yeah, I mean, their relationship has no plan. She has a plan. He has a plan, which is probably, but the relationship doesn't have a plan. So what happens in the first, if they were dating, that's what she's going through right now is what dating couples are going through.
Right.
The first 3 months of dating,
so
you are getting
to
know.
The gun here.
Yeah, she did. She started with marriage and now she's dating.
Yeah.
So and courting, but now she's inside and she's pregnant. So what she needs to do, she needs to be able to get to know her husband. She needs to stop living in her head and assuming things, and she needs to talk to him.
Okay, so you'd say she needs to see a counselor ASAP.
They need to talk to someone, or she needs to sit down and say, hey, let's talk about our lives.
Okay.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable, but she needs to get the courage to do it, and she can see a counselor to be able to clarify what she wants to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get back into our main discussion today. Lindsay from Moy University says, I've been longing to hear such a topic, but now you have made it for me. Thanks a lot, Joyce, for bringing the show to us. I can't make a hand move to change the station. Thank you very much for locking in with us this morning. Someone else says, couples working together, they can, but I just believe for some time, like I guess for a limited period of time, because familiarity brings contempt. Right. Very interesting point there as well. Hey, Joyce, Carol from Juja. My view on couples working together is that it's very possible and able. We've seen famous couples working together to an extent of them even going on screen together, proving that it's possible. And I guess she's talking about Lulu and Rashid, who anchor news together. Although I also have to say, that's literally 2 nights a week, for a very distinct period. It's not 8 hours a day, and you're both employed. It's not 8 hours every single day. Maybe that would make a difference.
Yeah, it would make a little difference.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at Facebook and see what guys are saying here. Oops, unfortunately, you seem to have lost those. As I load those back up again, though, Madam Grace, let's look at the people who are in workplaces, but now begin to develop relationships in the workplace. everybody's looking for a spouse or the person, you know, that they're going to spend their lives with. But is the office the right place to to look for that person?
Now, I'm going to say this. Number one, before you accept to be in a romantic relationship with a workmate, please figure out what the policies, the policies of the company are about dating. I have met enough couples who are secretly dating in the office. So they pretend like they don't, and they live together.
Yes,
but
yes.
once, what kind of a life is that?
I know some people like that, yeah.
Right. Or sometimes when you get into office romance, the HR will approach you and they will say, for you here, the policy is you can't do this. So one of you will either have, if it's a big company, maybe you will be moved to another department, or maybe one of you will have to find another job.
Yeah.
So you don't want to put yourself in that. Think about it before you get into it. Now, let me say this. Falling in love, you cannot choose. It's an emotional experience. I'm walking down and I see Java and I start watering my mouth because the smell is so good. There is nothing I can do about that.
Okay.
But I can do something about walking in there and actually buying it.
Right.
You see? So falling in love is not something we can control per se. But choosing to stay and to start a relationship, that's a choice.
Okay.
And we need to look at, I'm going to say, you need to look at, number one, the policy of the company. Number two, you need to understand the consequences of that or the outcomes of that, so that you be prepared. Because if you are coming into the office and you guys are doing the flirtations, again, like I said, even with couples working together, you make other people uncomfortable in the office when you are doing all these PDAs.
But even for the relationship itself, like you find that there are people like they don't even look at each other in the office. Right? And when you're in a new relationship, those are all the things you want to do. You want to express yourself. So you have to wonder about the sanctity of the relationship and whether it's actually going to survive. If literally tutakuwa tunapitana tu najifanya sikujui, right? Like that doesn't feel good.
Exactly. And that is what I'm saying, that you need to think about how it actually will look on the ground. And then the other thing is that is very important is also to understand boundaries, like we have said with couples. So what happens when you have a fight and you are working in the same team? Now, so you will spoil. I don't know anybody who is perfect that we can have a fight and then we come to the office and I am all okay. I don't know who is able to do that. And we know that romantic relationships, the emotions that are attached to romantic relationships, they are strong. They are really, really strong. The other thing you need to look at, what if it doesn't work? What if there is a breakup? What are you going to do? How are you going to manage the emotional?
And the consequences of that are even multiplied, especially if you are someone who gets into a workplace and you think the way to climb up is to flirt with your bosses.
Oh my goodness.
And you start those, especially that vertical relationship between a boss and an employee. My advice is just don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah, me too. I'm
quit
thinking,
if you're really that in love with him.
If this is the love of your life,
don't be there.
Then remember, if this is the love of your life, then what you need to do, discuss one of you looking for another job so that you don't create all this havoc. Now, this is the other thing. How you start the relationship also matters.
Absolutely.
Why you working on this very passionate project that you had deadlines and so you were spending a lot of times, if your relationship is based on that
adrenaline.
What
Once it
happens
dishes,
when
that's
it's gone?
Yeah.
So don't, and again, that's why I said you can fall in love. You don't have a choice on that. But staying and developing a relationship with that person, that's a choice. And so you need to really look to protect your relationship. If you think it's a thing that is going to go into the future, then consider that that you may need to one of you leave the company. Or even go to another. If it's a small company, it's harder. But if it's a big company, you can change departments, and you can talk to the HR. They are not sitting there thinking people are wood They
Yeah.
know this can happen.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they would also encourage the single people who are there. But then you need to have if you're thinking of a serious relationship with someone, talk to your HR manager.
Okay, let me get to some questions now.
Yeah.
Mwangi Washamata says, I'm loving the show. Good topics you're bringing across. Not yet married, but may want to know in advance. How do you handle the issue of socializing, joking, laughing with colleagues and your wife is around? So, for example, if you're doing business together,
Right.
your wife is constantly there. You need to network. There are female employees around. You know, is it that now everybody's a piece of wood?
Yes.
You know, what do you do?
Again, we talk about boundaries. And so just like if you were when you are married, whether your wife or your husband is there or not, there
Yeah.
are some boundaries about flirting. People need to know.
Yeah.
And if now look, think about it this way: if you are a flirt, and people know this is your wife, and you are in the office and you're flirting with them, how comfortable is that? People are just feeling like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
he's embarrassing her, or she's embarrassing him.
Yeah.
So it's important to create, again, I think, Joyce, people need to understand that we are not victims of our feelings.
It's true.
We are really in control of those things. There is something that is called the fruit of the spirit, and one of
Yes.
the ingredients of that fruit is
Self-control.
self-control. And
Absolutely.
also respect is a huge thing. So if you're my spouse and I'm in the office and I'm a flirt, I need to kind of ask the Holy Spirit to help me
Yeah.
self-regulate.
You know, my husband was telling me an example of Joe Biden, not Joe Biden, the current VP of the US, Mike Pence, who, because of his faith,
Yeah.
it's not that his wife is in the White House, but he does not even agree to have meetings with females alone. He will
yes.
have an aide
Yes.
in the room. I just think that is so
Those are
respectable.
boundaries,
Absolutely.
accountability, and even Billy Graham. That's
Yes.
I did hear one time him talking about how he would go for these missions and he would never stay in a hotel by himself.
Wow.
He always used to have someone with him, either one guy or two guys.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
You know, there's a cost to count and there's a cost to
Yes,
pay.
yes.
Absolutely.
Intentionality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some more feedback here before we get ready to wrap up here. Iman James says, again, talking about couples working together. His example is a little somehow, but he says, for instance, like with Apostle Nganga, when he was insulting Wazee wa Kanisa for tinyamelearing his wife in the office. Again, talking about how those boundaries between you as a couple, also it just makes it so much harder, even for, as you were saying, if one of you is not doing something well,
Yeah.
or they feel that they've been aggrieved by a party, it's very difficult for that party now to come and
Yes.
express that, you know what, I don't think this was professional, I don't think
Right.
they've met the code of conduct, I don't think
Yes.
they've held their side of the weight. Anyway, Anya Boke says, you have really made my day, Joyce and Madam Grace Karaoke, at you don't want twatwa in the office. We don't. We don't want to know your business. Let me turn to SMSs now. Someone here says, hey Joyce, I'm in a situation where I'm in love with a guy I used to work with. It's not infatuation, it's love. We randomly started talking in and out of the office and I realized I have feelings for him. I, however, felt it could cause problems, so I stopped communication with him. I moved jobs too, but I still have feelings for him. Is it wrong?
By all means, go and date your love. Yeah, because you're no longer working together.
Yeah.
It is okay.
Yeah.
What we are saying is that you don't want to choose to put yourself in a situation that is uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so at the end of this, you know, you also have to remember this career is the one that is paying your bills, right? Everybody has expenses. We've talked a lot about finance today. And I like your point that it's not that we're victims of our
Yeah.
emotions and
Yeah.
victims of relationships.
Whatever
It's a
is-
choice that we can
yes,
make.
yes.
Yeah. So if you
Yes.
feel something is going to cause you to stumble, then you'll be the same person complaining about not having, you know, enough money to
Right.
sustain yourselves.
Yeah.
It's important to just be able to manage your own
Yes,
expectations.
your own expectations. And also there is also something else. If you are working together and you find that you are conflicting a lot with your spouse within the workplace or even outside of the workplace, it could could be a personality clash. So I'm in the off. We are having a staff meeting. My husband is choleric and he is very harsh on the employees, and I am phlegmatic and melancholic, and so I feel their pain, and then I want to correct him in front of the employees. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
You know, again, we need to understand the roles that we play in the workplace.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for your feedback on this topic. I do believe I need to get to break now and bring you our final segment for the day. But just before I do, let me shout out some more of you who are watching. Elest Masha, Asante Sana, Kefa Kinyozi as well, Janet Mogaka, Ruth Kanini, Molly Daniels, Ndambi Precious, Nancy Njoroge, Rachel Koi, Armizon De Chosen, and Sarah Wamaida Kinuthia, Godfred Okech, Douglas Saboke, Daudi Mawood Rose, Zuli Osman, Akinyi Adema Arum, Geoffrey Oindi, so many of you who are engaging with us this morning. I really do appreciate every single one of you guys, and I'll continue trying to give as many shout outs as I can as we go through the show. For now though, thank you so much, Madam Grace, for your time. Always a pleasure talking to you. Hopefully you guys have learned something about relationships and the workplace and how to maneuver those. For now, we're going to take a short break and get ready for our next discussion here on Full Circle with Joyce, which is how do you recover from a broken marriage? Can you recover from a broken marriage? And what should you do if your marriage fails? This and so much more coming up on Full Circle with Joyce. Stay tuned.